Hey, Media Award, and welcome to my review for VHS Viral. That's right folks, the found footage anthology movie, the third movie in the instalment. This of course is a sequel from the first two movies, VHS 1 and 2. Both movies were financed and done practically one at the same time with each other from Bloody Disgusting, the official website. It's one of their kind of first picture movies. Being horror fans, they decided to do a series of VHS kind of shorts in an anthology. Talented directors, some you might know, some just coming into the industry. The first two movies I own on DVD. I think they're really great movies, very creative, really cool ideas for little short horror films. And of course the second one was just like freaking insane, going from the first one, which was slow shorts, it was more about atmosphere and tension, things like that, a bit more ghostly possession type one. The second one was just batshit crazy in a sense, lots of blood, gore, and just an insane amount of creativity and energy and passion went into those, and mixed with some really cool GoPros and all sorts of found footage cool elements into it. The second one was freaking awesome and I loved it. The third one's been a very anticipated one for myself and a lot of other found footage fans out there for sure. It was shown at Film 4 Fright Fest in the UK. Now granted, it's not as good as the first two movies in my opinion, but I think it's still a really good, entertaining movie. When I saw a lot of the reviews coming out, people saying it's okay, it's average, it's forgettable, disappointing. When I watched it, I thought, wow, this actually is pretty freaking cool. The shorts were all very good, the wraparound story was all interesting. I felt it was a bit too short. Now, if you're not familiar with what's happening with this movie, the film is an hour and 21 minutes roughly, or in the same, and they did miss a short. It was called Gorgeous Vortex, if I remember correctly. I'm not too sure who did that one, but it is a missing segment within the movie. If you see the trailer, you can see some kind of footage from it. I'm not quite sure why they took it out. It could be for reasons why, like technical reasons, like some of the special effects are maybe even finished. Maybe it wasn't really found footage. That's been one speculation recently, that where is the camera coming from basically. I don't really know. I'm really hoping when it comes on official like Blu-ray or DVD, they do put that short back into the official movie or put as an actual extra or something, because the film is the shortest one out of all of them in a sense. It's still fine, the still film works fine by itself, it's still edited, put together nicely, but it just felt like before I was really getting into it, it just could have ended a bit too quickly in my opinion. But yeah, I found that extra short, if they put that back in, it adds an extra, 15-20 minutes back on top, so I don't know. I'll let you guys know and my thoughts and opinions on that short if I do manage to see it within of course future videos. But the film itself, VHS, I'm going to do exactly the same as my first two reviews. If you want to see VHS 1 and 2, my reviews for them, there'll be a link in the description below for that of course. And I'm going to review each kind of short film segment individually and share my thoughts and opinions, and then do our overall what I thought of the film altogether. Cool stuff. Okay, so the first short within the VHS Viral is Dante the Great. Now I want to say straight away, this was definitely one of my favourite ones of the movie. It's flipping fantastic. Of course, it's if you've seen the trailer, of course, it's a magician with cool ass powers, and if powers have said anything with found footage movies recently, like with Inflicted, Chronicle, Penalty, the marked ones, powers in found footage movies works, and I love it when they do lots of creative ideas with it. This one had a lot of cool technical effects and really cool ideas with using magic and things like that. Lots of confrontation. Definitely a very satisfying payoff. This kind of like short is done like a kind of documentary style. The events have already played out. You got like interviews with like police officers, I think Dante's mother, assistants that he had on shows, things like that. And it's the idea of like Dante was top of his game. He was doing magic and illusions that were like no one knew how he was doing it. And basically Dante himself wanted to be a magician, and he basically got this kind of cloak. And it's kind of suggesting that it's from like Houdini himself in a sense, and basically this cloak gives him any kind of power or any kind of magic and thing he wants to do, whatever you can think of practically, and it's very interesting. And basically the cloak itself is supernatural, it's evil, it needs sacrifice to it in a sense, which is an interesting idea, interesting concept. I did really like that for sure. And yeah, that's basically what I'm going to say. I'm not going to say too much about it, but I thought the way it was put together, the way, you know, the visuals were just fantastic. The payoff, the whole cool power shit was awesome. The characters were really cool as well. I like the documentary style to it. I like the end sequence towards it. It was just all great. It was a great short, start to finish. If you like your cool powers, it was done really strongly well. This one was done by Greg Bishop, if I said that correctly. He did Dance of the Dead. Not too familiar with his work, but from this one, solid first entry, and I'd love to see more work from him. So yeah, it was a great start to the first opening of the film. Now the next one is Parallel Monsters, done by Nacho Vigilante, if I said that correctly. He's one who did Time Crimes, one of my absolute favourite time travel movies of all time. Phenomenal. If you haven't seen it, go and check it out. He's done I think a short on ABC's Death, Funny Enough Another Time with Time Travel Type 1. He's done Open Windows, which I'm looking forward to seeing later this year. Looks really cool. And of course he's done Back, another kind of like Dimension Type 1. But of course the hints in the title, Parallel to Monsters. Basically the idea for the story for this one is a guy is creating this kind of like device to basically go through another dimension, another universe practically, and he basically uncovers an opposite universe with himself. And you know, he thinks like, oh, this is really cool, my machine worked, you know, oh, it's myself, you know, he's doing the exact same thing. Basically they swap, they go from each other's universe, just trying to look around, to experiment, or just to film and document. And yeah, when the guy goes to the other universe, he gets a little bit more than he bargained for. Basically the universe is a little bit messed up, and let's just say there's, I don't know, alien dicks. I'm gonna leave you with that. It's creepy, it's weird, it's lots of imagination. I did enjoy it. It was quite ironic towards the ending of the actual short. I liked it. It was cool. It was a nice little foreign one. It was definitely not what I was sort of expecting when I was watching it. Yeah, it was a good little weird ass short, which from a great director. So yeah, Parallel Monsters was a great one in my opinion for sure. Okay, so the next one we have is Bone Storm, which is kind of like the safe haven, which is sort of one of the best actual one of the entire film, where everyone's really riding for. If you've seen the footage from the trailers, of course, it's basically the Mexican cult skateboarders. Basically, there's a bunch of skateboarders. They get really bored. They're documenting everything. They want to create these really cool skate videos from these GoPro cameras they have. They go to Mexico and basically go to this kind of really abandoned kind of skate park, sort of in a sense, and they uncover like a Mexican cult. Some weird markings on the floor, people all over the place, hoods, weapons and knives and shit, sacrifice, and just shit goes down practically. And it's definitely the best one because it's so batshit crazy again, and it's just so weird and done. And the most weird thing about it, it's done in pure daylight, which I think gives it its extra value to it. In fact, you got these kind of like skateboarders with guns and picking up knives from this coal and like smashing heads and whipping heads off, shooting people. You just got some weird ass shit going on in this little short. I felt it was very imaginative, very creative, good use of GoPros. It was like something out of Evil Dead 2. When I got to kind of the supernatural element to it, that was pretty cool. And you got these kind of like facing skeleton demon creatures things, and there's like basically I think like he punched like one of the skull's head off, and it was still like chatting away kind of thing. This like skull on the floor. It was pretty insane, pretty wild. It was definitely one of the best ones out of the whole thing. I felt it could have gone on for a little bit longer. It went to that quite quickly, which is fine for what it was. But with like Safe Haven, for instance, that felt like a whole film by itself in VHS 2. This one, it just went to that a little bit too quickly. I think if there was a little bit more, possibly, towards maybe building up to that. I don't know. It's just my personal opinion, but it was a great one. Bone Storm, definitely a very good one. It was directed by the guys who did Resolution, another weird, creepy kind of horror movie. I definitely recommend you go and check it out. It's not your typical one for sure. And lastly, folks, we have is our wraparound story, our typical kind of VHS style. There's usually always a wraparound story going on with these kind of VHS tapes happening, and this one's called Vicious Circles. Not too sure about this episode. I couldn't quite find the information for it, so if you know, please comment down below. So I'll be curious to see who did this one. Vicious Circles basically it's following kind of like a modern day. It's basically continuing on the themes from like the first two wraparounds. It does have some connection, but nothing massive. The first two VHS ones were very connected in its sense. of, you know, what he was trying to say. This one takes the ideas of it, of watching these VHS tapes, to a whole new level, and it's the idea what the actual title suggests. It's gone viral. Basically, this kind of ice cream truck is going around in circles, going around for this kind of like town area, and it's, you know, a signal is being broadcast basically to phones, TVs, networks, and basically people just watching them on their phones, and it's like weird, creepy ass footage of what a VHS would be. And of course, what we've already established within this kind of mythology is that if you watch these tapes in a certain order, basically it starts to affect you, and it starts to bring out your deepest, you know, desires. It changes you drastically, and you get nosebleeds. You just start to change, and very interesting. I like the idea of that kind of weird, creepy possession type thing, and I like the fact they used some of the footage from like the previous movies. I thought that was a good little tie into it. Basically, this one has like a couple. We see the start of the movie. You know, of course, typical couple, they're in love kind of thing, the bantering. Of course, he's filming stuff, things like that. And basically, she gets snatched by this kind of van, and he's basically getting on a bike, and he's chasing after her, trying to think, you got my girlfriend, I'm going to chase you. And you got other people filming, other footage. He cuts to different type of people in different scenarios. You got this kind of like, you know, house party one, but you got one in a taxi. And I think it's basically what it's trying to say is that the signal was being broadcasted around this kind of town, and it's affecting people, it's changing people, people are going nuts, crazy, and I think it's trying to suggest you know, it's gone viral, it's outbreaked, and it's quite a nasty idea of that sense, you know, it's no longer kind of thing you have to watch these tapes in order. It's just gone viral, and you get affected by just looking at the screen by it. I think it's very interesting. The idea of the catch-up lasts, you know, 10-15 minutes when it actually catches up with the van. I thought was very interesting. I liked what it suggested, and yeah, the last shot of the movie is very clear to what it's trying to say. And if it was the last one, it's been a great ride. It's a great trilogy. I've had fun. I don't think it would be the last one. I think there's still more to tell, definitely still more to tell for sure, in terms of the main wraparound story. I know where it's going though. I think the next one could be a very different type of movie. Maybe it could be like The Signal if you watch that movie, in that sense. You know, I think there's definitely more stories to tell, more creative, you know, directors, people want to do their chance to have their chance to shine for sure. I think they should do more, maybe have a little break, but you know, if it was the last one, it's been a great ride, it's been a great trilogy. So there you go, folks, it's been my thoughts and opinions on VHS Viral. As a whole film put together, I felt it was very entertaining. It's got some great shorts. Sure, it's not as good as the first two movies are, but hey, I enjoyed it. It's got some great shorts, lots of great people behind it. So yeah, VHS Viral, you got a whole batshit crazy ideas in there. You got Mexican cults, you got alien dicks, you got, you know, people with powers. It's a crazy ride. It's fun, it's entertaining. I loved it. I enjoyed it. Hope you do enjoy it, guys, too, as well. So if you've seen the film, guys, would love to know your opinions. Comment down below what you think of the other two movies. What would you see next from the next VHS movie? Love to know your opinions, guys. Comment down below. So in the meantime, I'm just signing out.